Today we're talking about how to have abundance in your life regardless of your circumstances. I mean, that can be a tricky one. So I'm Brenda, Florida. I'm a life coach and lifestyle advisor, and I have a lot of experience with this concept of creating abundance as I'm going to call it an internal state. It's almost like a feeling state, a feeling abundant regardless of your outside circumstances. So it's one thing to feel abundance if I have lots of money in the bank and I'm making a lot more money than I need to pay my bills and maybe go out and have a good time from time to time. But when the rubber meets the road and I don't, maybe I've lost a job or, have had some sort of financial, upheaval in my life where maybe I don't even have enough money to pay the bills anymore, how can I live in abundance? I mean, some would say, well, that's not possible because you don't have financial abundance in your life. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not true. And I know it because I lived it. And I won't go into all the gory details because there are plenty of them. But several years ago, I was in a very dark place and I was not thriving financially as far as my checkbook was concerned or my bank balance. And I was really struggling. It was a very scary time for me. And one of the things somewhere, I don't know how, I guess just from I read a lot and I listen to a lot of various self-help authors and people in the sort of spiritual, realm, enough to know that, when they talk about abundance, they tend to talk about it as, an internal state, an energetic state. And then your external life can catch up to it, so to speak. Well, there was something about that made sense, or it was just that because it might have been desperation that made that make sense to me, right? Because my external life reflected no financial abundance. And so what hope did I have but to try to hope these people were right and create it internally first and then see if my external life would catch up. So one of the books that I found during that time was this little book. I brought it to show you. I don't know that you can read that, maybe, depending on the reflection. But it's called The Abundance Book by John Randolph Price. And I just found it in a little bookstore one day in San Diego. At the time I was living in San Diego. And, it was only a couple of dollars. I don't even see the price on here. But I was spending very little money at that point because my bank account was running very close to zero. And I didn't have enough income coming in to meet, my financial requirements. And it was just, again, just a very dark time for me. So I picked this up and I read it. So the idea behind this book is that he has 10 principles for abundance. And he wants you to work with one, just do one every day for 40 days. So you rotate through each of the 10 4 times. And so I'm like, okay, let's see what this is all about. And I pick it up and it starts with, God is lavish. Well, at this point in my coaching career, I had already come up with the tagline of live lavishly because it just resonated with me so deeply. And so when this very first principle has the word lavish in it, I was kind of sold at that point. I had to change the word God to the divine because the word God just tends to trigger me because of my baggage. So you can change that word too if you want. But so it reads like this to me, okay? The divine is lavish, unfailing abundance, the rich, omnipresent substance of the universe. This all-providing source of infinite prosperity is individualized as me, the reality of me. And I loved that. I just loved this idea that the source is being realized as me, the reality of me. And I don't know, it just gave me so much hope that if I could focus on that and create this, what I call in the Live Lavishly Manifesto, of this idea that abundance is a state of mind, create that energetic place that my bank account would ultimately reflect it, and hopefully reflect it in time before somebody came and took my car away from me or something like that. And that's exactly what happened. So it was a difficult time. I spent a lot of time focusing on these principles in this book and other similar teachings, and really creating this state of mind in myself, a state of being for myself where I felt abundant. I knew I was abundant, regardless of what my bank account said. And sure enough, just in the nick of time, and barely before that, but just in the nick of time, circumstances changed. There were some serendipitous things that happened. It wasn't like I got a check for $100,000 in the mail. It wasn't that glamorous or sexy. But things came together in my life that pointed me to different people, made me call somebody, ask a question, that kind of thing, where in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks from one initial conversation, all of a sudden I had an income stream that I hadn't had before, that I couldn't have perceived having before. Now, I had 8 months of really, really difficult times before that. So I don't want you to think this is like an easy pill, right? But for me, it worked. And if it can work for me, it can work for you. So in the Live Lavishly Manifesto, which if you don't have a copy of it, just go to my website, brendaflorida.com, and you can sign up to get yours there. This is what we believe in. We believe in this idea of abundance as a state of mind, knowing that our external circumstances in life will then rise to meet this energetic, internal state of mind that we have. So thanks for joining me. I would love to hear your story down below of a time where you realize, whether you thought about it before listening to this or not, that you had to get your own mindset straight before your external circumstances caught up with you. I'd love to hear your story. So thanks for sharing it below, and let's live lavishly.